This is an audio commentary for Moontrap Target Earth. In order to listen to this while watching the movie, I'm going to first give you some instructions. I will be asking you to pause this audio track and then start playing your DVD of Moontrap Target Earth. As soon as you see the image of the moon, like the one on the screen here, unpause and continue playing this track while the movie runs. Okay? So now I'm going to tell you when to pause. 3, 2, 1, pause.
Hi, I'm Robert Dyke, co-writer and director of Moontrap Target Earth.
And I'm Tex Ragsdale, co-writer, Moontrap Target Earth.
So what we thought we'd do on this commentary track is give you first some background about, a little bit about ourselves and about the concept of the movie, and then get into the production. Tex and I have known each other for more years than we hate to admit, and quite a few years ago, we did another film called Moontrap, and there was a concept in Moontrap that always intrigued us, and we thought, you know, there are more stories that could be developed with that concept, and when all the stars aligned properly and we were able to do another film, we started to use that as a basis for what became Moontrap Target Earth.
The concept behind that takes us way back in a backstory to the time of the dinosaurs.
Well, that's way back.
That is the Wayback Machine. And where the commonly accepted scientific theory that the dinosaurs were wiped out by the strike of a comet on Earth that destroyed all life on Earth. And we thought of what if a race of extraterrestrials, aliens,
from another solar system, whatever.
Yeah, came to Earth and decided to revive the planet and bring life back. And to do that, they left behind a device.
Yes, we call it the Krell. Well, actually, the Krell, per our story, is kind of the ignition key to the device that, when it was put into effect, made the Earth live again, brought oxygen and caused the plants to grow, and eventually humanity to evolve. So, per our concept, humankind did arise, and that about 14,000 years ago, a very, very advanced, but unknown to us now, but a very advanced civilization arose, one that was capable of space travel, at least the ability to travel to the moon. And they made a discovery.
They discovered that another comet, or several comets, were again approaching the Earth, and there was nothing they could really do about it.
But they had discovered that alien device, the Krell.
Yes, they had the Krell, which rejuvenated the Earth before.
But the leader of the civilization, we call him Garen, he realized that it was, even though it could rejuvenate the Earth, it wasn't going to do him and his people any good because they would be destroyed by the comet. So he went to the moon and replicated the device through super science, their ability. And once he had completed the device, he wanted his female partner, Maya, to bring the ignition key, so to speak, the Krell. So she left the Earth, heading towards the moon to join Garen, but through some sort of disaster, perhaps hit by a meteor, whatever, she didn't succeed, and the ship tumbled back to Earth and crashed and was there for 14,000 years, so our time, but it was still active.
And you saw a little bit of that in the prologue that just went by on the screen very quickly. You saw Maya's ship struck and going into a death spiral back toward Earth.
Right, so our movie basically is about, we're assuming you've seen the movie, it's basically about the discovery of that ancient craft. And not only that, but the intelligence, the artificial intelligence still active, have detected that our female hero, Scout, is somehow, perhaps through DNA, genetically connected to Maya, the long-dead human pilot of the ship. So it's reaching out to Scout to draw her to the ship so that it can, using Scout to replace Maya, go to the moon and fulfill the mission that Garen had tasked it.
Exactly.
So I'm sure you got that upon first viewing, but that was it. That was the Genesis idea, and everything in our movie relates. Maybe not real obvious, but relates to that backstory. Our heroes that you see here on screen now, that's Damien Dayu on the left, playing Daniel Allen, and Sarah Butler playing Scout. They have made a discovery of that ancient device, but without the ignition. That's the head that we saw at the beginning of the show.
Yeah, you saw the head when Daniel is practicing a presentation.
Now we're going to the reveal of the actual artifact. But I think we should, I should mention Chris. That's Chris Newman there, and there's Charles Shaughnessy, Charlie, they like to be called, and Jennifer Kinzer. And we'll talk more about the actors and our experiences with them as we get through this commentary. But basically, once we had script in hand, and we started to put together the team to do the film and the financing, we were able to bring some individuals that we worked with on the first film. Gary Jones, who was a producer on Target Earth, was one of the key special effects men on the first film. Larry Fox was a production designer on both. Larry's a great, serious artist, and I love working with him. Love working with you too, Gary, if you're listening. And Mike Faba was an art director on both shows. Well, actually, he was art director on Target Earth and was a chief set construction guy way back when. And I'm sure there's others that I'm forgetting, so I apologize.
Yeah,
But
the key, it's always interesting to us that there's still those four people, us included, that were active in the first movie and basically did the same jobs on this one so many years later.
You know, I think I should mention here too, Jim Courtney, who's one of our executive producers. He's been besides being a good guy, he's been a real, he loves movies, always loved movies, and has been truly instrumental in putting together the two Moontraps and a couple of other productions that I've done. And
he managed to get himself killed spectacularly in the first movie too. Which,
and I think he wanted to kill us spectacularly doing this movie. Just kidding. I think Jim's very happy with it, but we're very happy having Jim involved. And another executive producer was really good, and we certainly appreciated him, was Don Foss, a local Michigan businessman. So we put it together. It was shot pretty much a couple of locations, like the one you're seeing here was a gravel pit, and there was a diner location and the Masonic Temple in Detroit, but primarily a studio-based show. So here we are. Do you think we should start talking specifically?
You could talk more about the artifact there a little bit.
Yeah. That was designed by Larry. I know it looks very simple, but it's deceptively simple, actually. It represents the top dorsal fin of the craft, and that is buried beneath the ground there.
And it appears to be, as we'll be talking about and are talking about now, the ship seems to be coming back to life, powering itself back up after being long buried.
And our logic to that was that it senses that Scout is in the area. The link to Maya. Actually, also because it's been on Earth, its ability to sense the immediate surroundings are more acute. But that was our logic.
And we'll see later, and with clues through the story, that Scout and Maya are somehow linked through the ages genetically, and Maya's knowledge and her desire to complete the mission is what, even unconsciously, is driving Scout.
Yeah, so I think right here I'd like to mention just our main actors, and all actors, obviously, but you're seeing Charlie Shaughnessy. He experienced actor. He shows up in so much. He's probably best known as being the co-star in Fran Dresser's show, The Nanny, and he's great to work with. And I remember he auditioned too. He came in and did an audition. He didn't assume he had the part because he was who he is. But I remember him calling me after he read the script, and he said, Robert, this script has a lot of humor. And I thought, exactly right. That's what Tex and I, we take the story seriously, but we try to have a little bit of our tongues in our cheeks. That's kind of a gross image, isn't it? And I should also mention Sarah Butler and Damien Dayu. Sarah has a pretty good-sized following with the films she's done, but she too just came in and auditioned, and as soon as she walked in, I think Tex and I instantly thought, that's Scout. We never really defined Scout physically, but for some reason, she seemed to instantly match at least what I conceived of for the part. And
she projected kind of a confidence and competence and likability, and somebody who would, as the character, as we hope the character does, pursue her mission kind of single-mindedly in the face of all obstacles, and that's certainly what Sarah as Scout did.
Mm-hmm. And there's Damien Dayu. He's a regular now, at least when we record this, on the ABC show Stitchers, which is going into its third season. And I can't say enough good things about him. He was great to work with. I know all directors always say, the actors are great to work with, but these actors were really great to work with. Damon was totally into it, and surprise to me, he's a science fiction geek like I am. And like you, Tex.
Oh, yeah. I don't know why I didn't look like that, when I was his age and reading science fiction stuff. But
really? To me, it's like looking in a mirror when I see him.
Yeah, you would think that, yes.
No, he was wonderful to work with. And Charlie, he likes to be called Charlie, too. He was a pleasure. He would come to the set even when it wasn't his day to be on set, although it always seemed odd that it was during lunch hour.
Yeah, we have quite a number of pictures of Charlie chowing down at the lunch hour, and he is a really flexible actor. He's probably much better known for good guy roles than this sort of dark agent assassin type that he's playing here, but. He certainly does it well here.
He does, and he brought a lot to it. And he didn't play it stereotypically bad guy.
Yeah. Do you want to say something about how you changed the color and?
In a moment here, but I want to. Good point, Tex. This I'll see if I can say it before the moment comes up that I want to talk about. This was all brown earth, and it was time to look color time. To look gray, and that's a pretty good example of how technology has evolved over the last few years as far as being able to change the image, change the color and the contrast. And so it now is more in keeping with kind of a lunar look to it. Where
definitely.
But there's a scene coming up here that I wanted to mention that kind of works with what we were talking about earlier, the backstory of Maya, the ship reaching out to Scout. And also it explains to later, to us anyways, that how Scout is able to interpret these etchings in great detail. What happens is that the ship and the artificial intelligence inside realizes that Scout, the link to Maya, is there. And when Scout makes contact with her hand to the fin, to the ship's fin, it embeds into her knowledge, a latent knowledge that starts to reveal itself to her as to what the etchings are. So that explains why she's able to make sense out of these alien symbols. It's right there. And she sees visions of herself on the moon in multiple personalities. That's foreshadowing of that which is to come. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
And she sees there in the etchings that the face of the statue that figures into the restoration of life.
Right, and the one that she and Daniel have been have discovered. Now, this is a dream she's having. That also it shows her link to Maya. That's Maya, played by.
And Maya's played by Nikki Spiridakos, excellent actress that we've come to know.
The fire around Maya represents the death of Maya, the crashing of the ship. It's all, and the ship was, in a sense, trying to, in very odd terms, tell its story, embed its story into Scout's mind. Now, this is Scout, and it's these thoughts, these concepts are rising up in her. She realizes this ship isn't an alien spaceship. It was built by humanity, civilization unknown to us, built over 14,000 years ago.
And the assumption had always been, you find something like this, and right away it's an alien craft. But in our backstory, in our universe, the craft is a relic of this ancient civilization from 14,000 years ago.
Right. Tex and I often talked about the possibility of that, in the sense that, but how far back do you think we can trace our direct civilization?
I think only like 4,000 years, 5 at the most, if you think of the Egyptians,
right,
the Chinese.
And it's known that humanity goes back hundreds of thousands of years.
Yeah.
So we always thought about or discussed the possibility, could other civilizations have risen in the same amount of time that it took ours, 5,000 years perhaps, and for some reason vanished, fallen, and other civilization, in other words, one or more advanced civilizations could have existed that we're not aware of.
Yeah, absolutely. And Sarah's been coming to this realization, but she's also...
You mean Scout?
Scout.
Yeah.
Has also been helped along by... in the story, she has a background in linguistics, and she and Damon are archaeological explorers, she and Daniel.
And we always imagine that her latent connection to the ancient civilization was one of the reasons that she developed this interest in the past.
That's a good point.
So here we are. Just FYI, this sequence was shot, and this one also at the Masonic Temple in Detroit. An amazing place, has over 1,000 rooms, literally over 1,000 rooms. And I think we saw just about every one of them going through it. And it's just, it's a great location, and several other features have since been shot there.
Another part of the background is we've always kind of liked the idea, or which may very well be true, that there are one or more shadowy organizations working behind the scenes to influence government, institutions, religious organizations, corporations, that by all means don't want to have their control interrupted. They don't want the public to be upset by anything. And the idea that an advanced ship with unknown powers has been found could really upset their networks, their shadowy backgrounds.
Yeah, exactly. In other words, that the discovery that there was a very advanced human civilization that existed before our known history disrupts, well, just what you said, disrupts the concept of where we stand within the Earth's history. It disrupts that, and they maintain their control, but in many ways, one way is letting the public believe what they now believe, and
right.
That was the whole. That's the reason that the shadowy figures later want to destroy the ship, destroy the discoverers, Alan and Scout. But we'll also learn, or you have learned if you watched the movie, which I hope you have, that Contrell, played by Charlie, he's working for them, but he has other motivations. He sees an opportunity to assert himself using the power of the ship. So I always liked that shot. For some reason, it reminded me of Scout looking like a little girl giving her report to.
She does look like that reading the paper.
Yes, and
then she has been able, because of her genetic memory, whatever, from the ancient civilization, she's able to interpret the inscription on the ship and give it a realism and her own interpretation of what was really meant from the ancient builders, and
right.
that's what she's presenting to them.
I'm sorry. Yes, you're right. The inscription was actually put on the ship by Maya to tell somehow before she died, and so she's speaking in the voice of the one who did that, which was Maya, at which we thought, okay, that's another indication that she's connected to this ancient woman.
But ultimately, the organization, the group like that, want to follow their first sense of not upsetting the global apple cart and destroy the ship rather than investigate it, which Damon and Scout desperately want to do. They want to be attached to the project, and yet that's the last thing that the overlords there would want.
Right. The global apple cart. I like that term that you use.
That'd be a good alternate title here for either that or a band name. Yeah. I don't know which.
That's Moontrap, the global apple cart. No. But that's exactly correct. These overlords, they in their minds see a greater disadvantage to letting the world know that humanity has risen and formed civilizations more advanced than we are now in the past, as opposed to letting the technology of that civilization be brought forth, which is pretty much, that's what our main characters, Daniel and Scuff, they want. They're seekers of the truth, and the truth is this unknown history of humanity. And
here's what's obviously a lot of unknown concentrated power in terms of the ship, and they want to use it, not surprisingly, for the good of humanity, which is definitely not something that the
No, we're interrupting this commercial for we're interrupting this movie for a makeup commercial.
Which you will soon see why, but...
Yes, the question is often asked, why did you do this? And the answer is...
Why not?
Why not? So, Well, we're back at the Masonic Temple here, and this is
D.B. Dickerson. He's a local actor, a comedian. I think he also does rap.
he does it really well, I think. Although
Yeah.
I think he does. I just don't claim to be a rap expert.
Very funny guy, and soon to meet a sorry end.
Yes. So we should probably give out. Well, I can give out a shout out later to Lon Stratton, but I'll start the first shout out now. Lon was our cinematographer. Worked with him on Feature Before, Time Quest, and a lot of commercials. And he has a great eye. I love his lighting, his compositions, all that, and he can make a great cup of coffee too. He has his coffee maker that it looks more alien than our spaceship.
That's why he keeps getting hired, I think.
Sorry, Lon, I hate to break it to you, but no, Lon's he really is a good man, and his work is exceptional, and this shoot. We shot 19 days, and we didn't have any overtime because he was so focused and knew what he wanted, and it didn't take forever to light. And I should also give a shout out to our actors who arrived on set, on location, knowing their lines, knowing how to hit a mark, and as always, we had multiple takes. It wasn't one-to-one, but a lot of the times we'd go for another take just to, let's try something different, because they invariably would give me something usable, maybe even good. No, always good, but they were not afraid to explore different deliveries, so it made it more, it just gave us more options for the edit.
We didn't mention before when they were there, but what we called originally the artifact, but the fin of the ship, was built in a studio some distance away and then trucked to the gravel pit. And it looks so pristine and white. It went after a look of the ship to make it look different from ships you've seen before in sci-fi things. Though it had been buried for 14,000 years, it looked pristine. And the designer, Larry Fox of the ship, and Bob had an idea about the composition.
Yeah, we've seen for decades now, I call it the Ridley Scott, James Cameron look of spaceships, which I think is great. But it's been attempted to be replicated so many times, a kind of a grayish industrial look, and I thought, those guys, they did it so well, I'm not going there. So let's try something hopefully different. And what we came up with, we call it kind of a porcelain look. It's as if the ship is made of a porcelain-like material, including the interiors that we'll see later. And the logic behind it, besides just trying to do something different, was we always discussed that when there's an engineering problem or challenge, there are certain rules you have to follow to make it work. If you're going to, for example, build an airplane, there are certain, but I can see different cultures approaching the problem using the same rules, but having different design concepts influenced by their resources or their cultures. So we decided to go with this more sculptural white porcelain look.
It also emphasizes the I use the word alienness, even though they're not aliens, but the very, very unusual ideas about engineering and so on that may work on principles that we have not discovered yet.
That's true. That's true too. Yeah. So
there's poor DB getting fried, extra crispy.
Oh, did you just say that?
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
That really bothers me because I was planning on saying that. So here we are now. We're back at
Not in the gravel pit, but on the set.
Oh, we gave it away.
Yeah.
But story-wise, they're now beginning. Contrell is beginning his studies of the artifact. You can see they've scraped more of the earth away, and they've set up this tech center to analyze the data that's coming in.
The tech guy, John Ager, a local actor, another one of the excellent pros that we had working, no nonsense guy. He and Contrell, Charlie, are analyzing the ship without having totally uncovered it yet. They're trying to scan what's inside.
Yeah, supposedly they put some sort of inserted some sort of probes into the earth around it, and they're getting these sort of kind of like sonar. I don't know if sonar is the right word nowadays, but a visualization of what's beneath the fin. And the food truck is where that high-tech command center is located.
A little camouflage there. We figured it might be cool to, rather than what you always see, some real slick high-tech structure. They've hidden theirs inside a food truck.
Yeah, it seemed unexpected. We're hoping anyways to be slightly unexpected in our storytelling. The tech there, we refer to her as the engineer, that's being played by Loretta Higgins, an actor I've worked with quite a few times, 3 features I think, and commercials, and Loretta shows up in a lot of features besides mine. I know she was in George Clooney's Ides of March, and she had a part of that new Comedy Central series that just started called The Detroiters, and she also had a feature role on Julianne Moore movie, which I'm embarrassed to say I can't remember the title at the moment, but I always like working with Loretta, another real pro.
And as always, the ship is totally impervious to anything.
That hammer didn't hurt it at all.
That hammer didn't do a thing.
Do you think maybe we should have hit a little more dramatic than a hammer?
Yeah.
Maybe a sledgehammer anyway.
Yeah, at least that. So, did you say this is a set and not at the gravel pit?
Oh, I don't know if I wanted to reveal that, but since you have. No, we... at one time we thought we were going to shoot this sequence also at the gravel pit, but we just started thinking of shooting at night.
Practicality.
Yeah, shooting at night's always a drag because the sun comes up, so you're restricted time-wise, and not to mention insects and external noises, airplanes, and it just hit us one day. Well, the way we can do this like Steven Spielberg did 30-some years ago in Close Encounters, and so do it as an interior set of an exterior, and there might be a little bit of influence by Mr. Spielberg's lighting approach in these sequences, or perhaps a little bit of Mr. Kubrick's too.
No, not really.
I mention those names, but I'm not comparing myself to them.
He rips off the best. That's the only thing.
It's an homage.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay, good. That's good.
But we thought this was kind of a surprising turn for folks, that the perhaps male hero of our tale is eliminated halfway through our journey.
And yet, here he is again. So the audience is left to wonder what's going on here, which we find out soon enough.
Mm-hmm. And we realize that is he really alive, and was everything before that a dream, or not? And it's quickly revealed that this indeed is the dream.
Incidentally, the two actors who had to, portray lovers with an intimate relationship, they really did have a good chemistry together, and you totally believe that they're in love, that they.
Which I can verify that they were not.
No, they were not.
But they were. But they certainly liked each other, and that helped a lot. You know, they did have a good chemistry. But this is where you realize that what we just saw, it may not have been a dream of Scouts, but it was certainly a memory of.
Right.
And I think Sarah did a wonderful job. Those are real tears. There was one. I don't know how she does that.
I don't know how actresses can do that on call.
She could, amazing to me. Well, that's Chris Courtney, the truck driver. Small part, did a really good job with it, though, I thought.
And again, very believable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Since Scout is on the run now, she also communicates the kind of being strung out, stressed, what she's seen, the horror of what she's seen.
Now, here we introduce another character played by Cara Ann Marie, as the waitress, and our idea was that we wanted her to have sort of an ethereal quality to her, almost like a guardian angel.
Yeah, she really does.
That kind of guides her, gives Scout encouragement and courage, anyways, to go on. So we never show her step into frame or leave frame. She just sort of appears. Doesn't mean she really did, but the implication. She can make a hot fudge sundae really fast. And also, some people say, well, she's a waitress. Why is she wearing her hair down like that? Waitresses have to have their hair up in a net or whatever. And that's true, but we wanted her appearance to suggest that of Scout, that she's sort of...
they look very similar.
Mm-hmm. And she's sort of, she's not her fairy godmother or her conscience, but literally she is a waitress in the story. But we wanted to suggest that there's something more there.
Yeah, she listens to her, gives comfort, kind of intuitively she knows something's wrong.
Tells her not to give up,
yeah,
to make things right.
Yep. And this is perhaps Scout's low point, where she's seen horrible things, seen their dreams shattered, and what to do now. Powerful people are after her.
And she's ready to give up. But Cara, the waitress, it gives her the incentive to go on. You can't let the bad guys win. I think that's how a lot of us are feeling nowadays. But anyway, it's moving on.
It was a nice location too, just a small diner.
The owner was so pleased to have us there. He gave us all T-shirts, and they were great T-shirts with his name on it.
And afterwards, somebody ate that hot fudge sundae. Was that you?
That was a great hot fudge sundae.
Yeah,
except there was a phone in it.
Yeah, forgot about that.
Yeah.
And who knows where that phone has been? But it did disappear.
I should another little shout out to Mike Faba, one of our art directors. He was making hot fudge sundaes all day and trying to match them all up because they were always melting. And he did a good job. I'm not sure how many he made, but there quite a few. So we're now. This is the point where we're going to start kicking into more of a hardcore science fiction tale. That's coming up. It's been. We wanted to pretty much have a bit of a mystery in the world of today, and as Scout learns about her discovery, other forces represented by Contrail, and now we're going to start paying it off. Where Scout's going to finding out the truth about the ship, its ultimate purpose, and but first she has to sharpen a knife.
Yeah, now what's going to happen here? Well, we'll see. Now from this point on, Scout really tries to take the initiative. And
She is right. She stepped into the role of the chief.
Yeah, whether she's conscious of everything or not, she doesn't really know what the mission is. But she's not going to sit back and just be passive now.
And Daniel's last words to her was that he was sorry that he couldn't finish their job, and she's determined to somehow finish the job, whether it's to extract revenge on Cantrell or follow the journey through of their discovery. Now this shot I like a lot. When we had blocked it out, planned it, we were going to get extensive coverage of Charlie delivering his lines, and Charlie, obviously, the pro he is, he knew the whole speech cold, and we were rehearsing it, and Lon was setting up, and Charlie and I felt we were ready to shoot as far as attitude of the character, so forth and so on. Lon said, "Let me show you this." And so we had Charlie go through it one more time, and he did this slow pullback. That really works. I love the reveal of it. And it shows Cantrell becoming smaller and smaller as he's being seemingly dominated by his overlords.
And in a sort of a symbolic cage there, too. He's in a box. He's being constrained. And even in this final report, where they insist that the ship be destroyed.
There he is in his little box. That's a good point, Tex, yeah.
And he's...
but now he's back.
Now he's back. And his own agenda starts coming out.
So I really, if Charlie wasn't such a pro, we could never have done that in one take. Yeah. And it was a great idea, I think, by Lon. And I think it really works within the context of the story, and it probably saves us about 2 hours of shooting too, time. So all good.
And here a real knife, but
dulled.
The edge dulled. Charlie's great thing here, Cantrell. He makes Cantrell like totally unafraid of this. He's got a knife at his throat, so he's not. He doesn't show it.
And he always makes these asides that. It seems like he finds Scout very unattractive, which I always thought was amusing. But totally uninterested in her.
Yeah. And the nasty, he could project nasty intensity really well. And then in the next split second, he's the cool British assassin or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Or he can. We'll see later. He can put on the role of the weak. You got to help me, Scout.
Yeah, right.
And he's the role. The character is a true chameleon. True chameleon. He's not really a lizard. No.
In the good chameleon in the good sense.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
A little bit of special effects there. Where the image was added later on the phone. It's considered typical of productions nowadays. All through our show, there's little minor tweaks to the images, digitally removal of plugs and wires sometimes holding actors up or supports, and I'm constantly amazed at how things have advanced in the last few years. So you can now tweak forever, but change images, colors, remove items that you didn't want, add items.
And now that it's so easily possible, everybody wants to do it more.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it's still. Visual effects are still expensive, very expensive, and we knew that. I mean, we knew that we didn't have $100 million, unfortunately, and so we didn't want to be competing, or couldn't compete, and didn't want to be competing with these mega productions of like the Transformers and what have you, and you know they have an audience and they're incredibly successful. And for us to try and go in that world with our budget would have been a mistake. Would have been impossible. But we wanted to do a tale that we thought we could tell well within the limits of the resources we had. And I like to think we succeeded. That's where everybody is now saying, yeah, he liked to think that.
Yeah, right. So they're pretty much convinced that the ship has demonstrated that Sarah is the thing that is
Scout.
Scout is the thing that it is keying up against. It's trying to sync with her.
Mm-hmm. Right. So Cantrell, he feels that she, for some reason, is the key to learning the secret of the ship, having it activate whatever. But he wants to find out the truth of it, and hopefully he'll be able to utilize that knowledge for his own personal gain.
Yeah, it's the power the ship represents that he is really after, and his backers are really afraid of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're afraid of the. Not so much. You're right, Chuck. The power of it and the knowledge of it.
Yeah.
And he wants to find out about it, as does Scout, but he wants it for his own personal gain, where Scout is motivated to reveal the truth, the history to the world.
And as she makes contact with it again, her link gets even deeper.
And it now knows that this Maya substitute, Scout, is right there, right above, right on the ship. The intelligence, the artificial intelligence inside, know it's standing on its hull. So what's coming up here are various effects. Here's a visual post effect of Charlie dropping. He didn't really drop. And you're going to see some miniatures. That's a miniature of the robot. And
built and designed by Gary Jones, another great robot by Gary.
And then when I say miniature, it was about 3 feet tall. And then we had a full-size version. And this is going to be an example of this sequence, an example of going back and changing an ending to a sequence. That was added later. What it was is that Jennifer was just supposed to put her gun down and walk away. And then we thought, that's not a good ending for her. She killed all these people. We need a little better ending. So way after photography, Jennifer came back and we shot her in front of a green screen, and we did her walking, not that shot, but that shot's a composite, and we did edit the rays coming out of the robot later, and also Jennifer falling, composite against a background that we shot on set, I think months before. But it's sort of typical of productions how you always kind of go back and you have to add a little something to
that classic shot. There comes from our long fondness for old sci-fi movies.
Oh, you mean the one of Scout being
the robot being carried?
Yeah,
the robot carrying her.
It's very much like a poster from Forbidden Planet, where Robbie the robot was holding Aunt Frances.
Yeah, The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Yeah, well, that's right, that one too. Yeah. It seems odd to praise Sarah for being a body, but she immediately adopted that pose. That kind of the right arch of her arc, rather, of her body. It was very much in that classic sci-fi pulp posture.
You want to explain a little about the colors?
Yeah, you notice the red and blue. That represents the ruling couple of that advanced civilization. Maya was in a royal, always wore, I call it royal, but reds, and Garen, her companion, wore blue. They were the rulers of that time, and that's sort of their symbol.
And the blue robot in his blue spacesuit.
And she had a red robot and her red suits that we'll see later. And this was meant to resemble the old sci-fi pulp covers. It's a dream of scouts. It's not meant to be reality. That's why there's so many stars, and the Earth was so huge behind Garen. But it also tells the story of Scout becoming Maya, and bringing the Krell to the moon, and terraforming the moon. So here we are. Here's the first introduction of the interior of the ship, designed by Larry Fox. And you get a better look in a moment. But once again, we went for that porcelain look, no winky, blinky lights in the levers. And
just very advanced.
Mm-hmm. And it was a beautiful set, Ed. It was so difficult to keep that floor clean. Without everybody had to wear special booties so they weren't marking up. But poor Mike Fava spent a lot of time cleaning that floor, keeping it pristine white. And I insisted on Charlie wearing suspenders. He wasn't, for some reason, he wasn't crazy. He didn't object that much, wasn't crazy about suspenders. But I realized that if he didn't have that on, so many times it would almost, in all the whites, it would almost look like a detached head suspended in air, or held up by a tie, perhaps.
The robot here has Maya's garment that she died in, and you just got a quick look earlier on her ashes, all that was left, and the intent is to make Scout take her place as her replacement and start the transformation.
And
it's physical to go along with some of the mental transformation.
Yeah, and we also thought that Scout, subconsciously, if that's right, knows that she's connected to the ship, to Maya, and so she does go along with taking on the garments of that long dead woman.
Yeah, and the red color again here is emphasizing the partnership with Garen, the leader of those people, the blue, and she has a red robot, the red garment, keeping that theme up.
Yeah, no, we always view that as a symbol of their. We say royalty, but we don't necessarily mean they were the king and queen of outer space.
Right.
It was. If you saw the other members of her civilization, they wouldn't be wearing red or blue. That was reserved for the rulers.
And we obviously have no idea what the structure of that ancient civilization was, but we can imagine all kinds of things. Maybe some advanced form of society that doesn't require, king and queen to be leaders.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't necessarily mean that the man, Garen, was the leader and she was his concubine or queen. We just sort of left that up to the viewer if they thought about it as to how that civilization might have been structured. But we wanted it to feel like it was removed from ours, as far as design in ships, wardrobe,
and even the journey to the moon, which normally with astronauts would take 3 or 4 days. Here happens almost instantaneously because of the super science of the civilization.
Right. I think what we're seeing here is Charlie explaining that.
Yeah, super science, super power. Yeah,
that's all we need for an explanation, and that's the only explanation we had.
Yeah, I know.
But why not?
Yeah,
You know?
the control effects on the controls look really cool. Not anything like we have now.
And we also felt that we could, through, there's that term in super science, that they're capable of artificial gravity within the ship.
Mm-hmm.
So, much I guess Star Trek is guilty of that too, or uses that premise of.
Right.
The shots of the moon from space were NASA photos that we touched up a little bit. The landscapes were derivative of photos that were taken by the astronauts on the moon, but we wrapped them around CG models to give them a depth and perspective so the camera could pan and you could see a shift as if there were three-dimensional objects as opposed to 2D photographs. You know, we're going to be going out on the moon surface, and there has been some talk about, shouldn't Scout be kind of bouncing along merrily, like gravity's so light on the moon, and it's true, but it's not true. We always envision that, Sarah, I have no idea how much Sarah weighs, but let's say Scout is 110 pounds. And we always imagine that her suit with its mechanisms, at least 70 pounds perhaps. So we're up to about 100, I can't do the math, 185 pounds on Earth. So approximately, how much would she weigh on the moon? Do you
I don't think any more than 20 or 30 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because the gravity is considerably less, but not missing.
Yeah, in other words, so, we've seen 30-pound young children walking. They're not bouncing like balloons. Yeah. You still have weight on the moon. The shots I think people are always referring to is the footage of astronauts kind of bounce along. Well, what those astronauts are doing, they are literally skipping.
Yeah, and sometimes downhill. So no wonder they were acting like that. And also, once and for all, you can't see stars from the surface of the moon because of the glare.
Well, when the surface is in daylight.
In daylight.
Daylight, right. I think when you're on the night side,
far side.
No, not the far side. The far side also has daylight. So when we see a crescent moon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's an argument we always have. But in other words, if you're on the surface of the moon when it's daylight, you cannot see stars. There's it's all the reflection coming up from the surface itself. When you're out at nights, an area that's experiencing that, you can't see stars. We spent a lot of time on that one, didn't we?
We spent a lot of time arguing about it. But there's no argument except for with people calling it the dark side of the moon.
Yeah. There is no dark side of the moon. There's a far side, which has is sometimes dark and sometimes light. We're still talking about that.
And here too, a scout dons a advanced spacesuit left behind by Maya and the earlier civilization, and we didn't want it to look bulky like the astronauts or the shuttle astronauts have.
Or she wouldn't have to necessarily have an incredibly large pack that holds oxygen because of super science.
Super science.
Well, here's one of my favorite shots. This one. It is there.
Yeah.
That is so classic sci-fi. Sci-fi that we grew up seeing as kids.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, sometimes I've heard from ones who have seen the film, well, how does Scout know so much? How does she know that the helmet's going to work? How does she know that she's going to get on this little elevator device? I give the logic of that to it's the memories now that are
genetic memory.
Yeah, that she's becoming more and more Maya. Not that she's going to be taken over by Maya, but she is now experiencing sharing memories that Maya had.
Right.
And that's also why she's kind of accepted this journey she's making without fear. She feels there's a reason for it, and she's at this time she knows that there's a mission that the ship was meant to complete, a mission with Maya, who's now gone,
and the statue discovered on the moon is linked to the statue that they discovered on Earth.
And going back to the premise that we set up, this is the device, the statue on the moon is the device that Garen now had replicated from what he had learned about the one on Earth that in our story Scout and Daniel had discovered. He had constructed this device, which is capped, so to speak, by the statue, and was waiting for Maya to bring the Krell, which is what we call it the ignition key.
The ignition key, yeah, which is, and the whole device, once it's together, is capable of extreme power, and we'll see that shortly.
Well, they know what it is. They've seen the movie.
You hope they've seen the movie.
That's well. Why are they listening to this?
Yeah.
We call that our Neil Armstrong shot.
Earlier you saw Charlie transform quickly as Cantrell from being kind of sucking up to her because she had the knowledge and the power, and he has decided to go his own way.
But now he's alone, and
he transferred the personality showed on his face in like almost instantly when he changed.
And he's been watching the robot manipulate these instruments, and fortunately, it's a very easy ship to fly.
Yeah, apparently so.
Why is that?
Super science.
You know, we're getting away with a lot.
Everybody gets away with a lot. Anything else you want to mention about the ship?
It's sure pretty.
It's pretty.
No. I mean, but you can see how pristine it is and how simple it is as far as the design. And like I said, we just thought, rather than trying to replicate or compete with great work that has been done decades ago, let's go a different direction. We're certainly not claiming this. This is so unique and never been done before, but we think maybe it has. But we certainly did want to try and copy the work of some real artists.
The curved shape of the ship is kind of reminiscent on purpose of the ships in War of the Worlds.
That's true.
The first one.
The one that George Pell produced in the 50s.
And that scared us to death when we were 10 years old.
You got to stop giving those age references. No, I know it's kind of patting ourselves on the back, but I really like the interior of that ship, though. I think it's quite unique. So, as you know, if you've seen the movie, this is not exactly the end of Cantrell, but it is for a while.
And Sarah, again, in the influence of her genetic memories.
Scout, you mean?
Yes.
Sorry.
Having to complete her mission.
Mm-hmm. But she does reflect where she is. It's like I am 250,000. Holy mackerel, there's a giant robot.
Yeah.
And this is the blue guy who, he's been waiting 14,000 years. We always imagine him as sort of the bodyguard aide to Garen, but he's a little whacked out after 14,000 years, and has taken upon herself, whatever it is, to prevent any sort of invasion of where Garen is. He's trying to protect any intrusion to the sleeping Garen. In other words, his circuitry's kind of gone awry. He doesn't realize that Scout is now fulfilling the mission of Garen's partner, Maya.
Right. So what has to happen is for Scout to have the Krell, the ignition key actually passed to her, like the passing of a baton kind of thing, so she can complete it. And her loyal guardian is about to do that.
And this is also the moment where Scout puts it all together. I mean, she now knows that the Krell that she holds in her hand, it goes there. That was the mission, to insert it into that statue. She doesn't yet know that it's as we've been calling it, a ignition key for the device, but she's accepted the role of completing that mission. All right, that's Tex's hand. He wants to take credit.
Excellent hand. Excellent hand.
Good work, Tex. I believed you were dead.
Yes. No, my hand wasn't. Immortalized.
What you're seeing here, there's a lot of compositing, obviously, going on. But we actually built that head full size. And it was made by Gary Jones's people. And it was sculpted out of, I believe, styrofoam, and then covered with some sort of a finish.
Kind of epoxy or something.
Yeah.
It also carries on the look of the ceramic ship, like that might have been the primary building material of the ancient people.
Well, yeah, right.
And we were thinking that might also be an image of the ancient people.
Mm-hmm.
That left behind the whole device.
Although we kind of argue about that. This was the device, the first one was the device done by the extraterrestrials before humanity arose.
Oh, right, yeah.
So
I take that first. Yeah.
Yeah, although it could also be that they, through super science, knew humanity would arise and sculpted it to resemble the eventual intelligent species that would appear. So I should mention Sarah again. At this point in time of photography, the sets were very limited. A lot of this was simply Sarah on a green screen. Sometimes a little bit of soil beneath her feet.
A lot of moon dust.
Right, and this, and obviously she interacted with the statue climbing and all that, but so much of the sequence to follow is primarily Sarah on a green screen. And that's not easy for an actor to put into their mind, their head, what's going on, what's going to be added. And I am totally convinced, well, I know that she had a vision. That sounds a little odd, doesn't it? But she she put herself into Scout's head in the context of the story, and it was just Sarah on a green screen, but she saw all this in her mind as an actor and was able to put that into her performance as Scout. Everything, like the reflection in
I like the reflection in the helmet.
Yeah.
That
was added later, and that too. Sarah was just staring up, and I gave her some thought, or some concept rather, of what was happening, but she had to detail it in her mind to react. And then what happens is this force field goes, as you're seeing, it goes around the moon, and then it bursts apart into billions and billions of particles that have the capability of turning the moon into an Earth-like world.
And this isn't we didn't originate this idea. We liked it, but you've seen a world reborn in a short time in
Arthur Clarke's sequel to 2001, 2010.
That and the second Star Trek movie with the Genesis planet that is transformed, is terraformed in a moment or so, and that's what happens here.
Yeah, it's a concept of science fiction, and
the incongruity of blue skies on a lunar landscape.
So what's happening here in Scout's mind, first it's the bewilderment, and then she begins to sense that with the sky and the clouds and there's a mist falling, that this may be a world that she can breathe in. So she takes a chance, and she knows a little bit, or senses maybe a lot, of what Maya's mission was. So off goes the helmet, and you see at first she's elated. I can breathe, I can live, and then the realization, I am 240,000 miles away from my home, I'm on a rock, and I'm alone. And once again, you got to give a lot of credit to Sarah. That was just Sarah on a green screen. She had to put all of that, process all of that, and project it in her performance. I'm alone, she said. This is where I'm going to die.
Yeah, she's on a new world, has been reborn, but she is alone. And now what? A beacon.
Mm-hmm. So now what we're going to see is a combination of Sarah on a green screen, a miniature composited against skies. You'll notice that the clouds are slowly moving. We double exposed, the old term, it isn't quite accurate anymore, dust floating in the foreground. And there's quite a few elements happening there. The miniature, Sarah on green, sky plates, extension of the miniature landscape. And then we had a full-size set of the base itself.
Again, the color scheme of the red and the blue, the leading family or leading couple, Scout and Garen, or Maya and Garen in ancient times.
And right now, Scout is just about all of the knowledge of Maya she is aware of. And that's, although she's still Scout, but she knows the mission, how it all worked, the purpose, up to and including how to open the door.
So this is her only, she doesn't know what lies inside, but it's her only hope, her only refuge.
And there she sees, waiting in suspended animation, Garen.
Garen, played by Tarek Solmachi, excellent local guy.
He had
great
a
job. He has a terrific look.
yeah. The look, his look was great. When he walked in, Tex and I said, "That's Garen," and you could say kind of a minimal part, but an incredibly important part. He was sort of the character was the initiator of our whole story.
Right.
And if we didn't have that look that he brought to it, it wouldn't have had wouldn't have been as positive a feeling. And now we're back. There's Nikki again as Maya, and she's giving the final information to Scout of how she had failed in bringing the ignition key and wants Scout to fulfill what she was supposed to have accomplished. So it's going to go a happy little ending here, and nothing's going to happen. But we couldn't do that. We had to give a final move, and we had to have at least Charlie have a final line for him anyway.
So Contrell's ripped off face is now embedded in the robot so that he has eyes again. Mm-hmm. Although not now he doesn't.
That didn't last long.
No, it didn't last long. The set is one of Larry Fox's creations too. The really cool kind of, we always call it kind of the sleep chamber or the crypt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, all those lens flares from the lights, they were added later, and there was a little bit of visual post here, a little bit of work done on the robot, but pretty much all Larry's in front of the lens work.
Here's one that had to be done.
Mm-hmm. So now
Had to do that.
This is where now Scout has to make a decision. What does she do? And she makes that decision. And we're thinking at this point in time, probably the audience isn't aware, and perhaps they're asking themselves, is she just going to be wandering this barren lunar landscape for the rest of her life? But I don't think that happened.
I don't think that happened, no.
Mm-hmm. And so she, Scout now knows the story, and so she has replaced Maya. Remember that outfit was under her spacesuit, and
she now takes her place.
Right, and she knows that Maya is going to stand next to Garen as the moon was terraformed, and so she's decided to join him in sleep with the hope that someday humanity will return to the moon and find them, and she'll awaken. Maybe be in a few years, perhaps in a few centuries.
Into the river of time,
mm-hmm.
She says.
Right. And that is the end of Scout's story, but we wanted to give just a little coda to this. And originally, we were going to end it there, where we saw etching that Scout put onto the structure. And we thought about it, and we thought, maybe we can come up with, even this is after everything was shot, we thought maybe we can come up with even an ending beyond the ending. So what we did, originally the footage was tracking towards that inscription. So we decided to print it. Printing's not really what happens, but for lack of a better term, we printed it backwards. We added some dust moving forward. And we added digitally this plant, showing that the terraforming, the conversion of the moon into a living planet had begun. And
a small little symbol of hope.
Mm-hmm. And probably in her story, this would all be seen on Earth. It becoming Moon becoming a planet and seeing vegetation grow, and that would probably certainly would spark a curiosity to return to the Moon and find sleeping Scout. So that's our tale. Hope you enjoyed our ramblings here.
And that's us.
That's us. We'll see if we can mention most of these people as their names click by. And if we missed some, I apologize. But it was a real joy, true joy for me to work with all of these people. Everyone believed in the project. At least they certainly convinced me they did. There's Gary Jones, great guy. Don Foss and Jim Courtney, who I mentioned earlier, we owe a lot to them for making this project happen. Mary worked with me on so many projects before, and I always trust her advice. Steve, our legal counsel, good guy. Marty.
Great guy. And
great. Yeah.
Indispensable.
Absolutely. Lon, we've already praised you, Lon. Randy,
the long-suffering editor.
Yeah, he put up with me. Matt
too.
Good job. You know, it's going to go. Larry, good job. Good job, Robert. No, I know it's getting a little weird. Oh, Dan, I got to praise him. He did the score. He's done 3 scores for me in the past. Love his work. I work with him again instantly if I had another project. Patrick brought us Damon and Sarah and Charlie. Great. Really appreciate that he could attract those talents to our project. And here comes the slowest credit roll-up, I think.
Everybody else will appreciate that, though, except the regular audience, but the cast and crew will appreciate.
That's true. Regular audience is probably
time to go to get something to eat.
And folks, if your name's on here, I want you to know that I truly appreciated the work you did. We came in on schedule, on budget, and it's a result of all of us. And I felt very privileged to work with you. And if I haven't mentioned your name, my fault. There's Sass. She's been a still photographer on a project. Wonderful work. Jamie Scarpuzza, sound man. His tracks are always so clean and pure, and he's always a great presence on the set. There's Mike. I think Mike has more credits than anybody. And like I said, we'll just kind of let them run through, and no losers there, folks. It was a pleasure, and it was certainly an experience that I'll always remember with real fondness, that production.
There's another Mike Favo mention. We stopped counting after a while.
Yeah, but they were all justified credits. They really. Oh, Louis Gaffer. Louis, we call the MC of the shoot. He would always have games afterwards for the crew, prizes, and his work was great. And he was such a wonderful presence. I hate to keep saying good time, love you all, but it was a good experience.
It went by so quick, the actual shooting.
In 19 days. There's Kirk Miller. His group did a really good job in post. Very pleased with their work. It was 19 days. We shot 19 straight days, and we had 2 days, probably a month or so later, for pickup of the miniatures and a few inserts that we wanted. So 21 days if you're counting them, but only 19. And we got a lot. And the reason we could get a lot was that we had such a talented group. Filmed in Michigan. That was during the time of the film incentive. It was a great great benefit to help us as far as financing of the project. And hey, Tex, you want to do this again?
Another movie or do this commentary again? I
Well,
would say.
I don't know. I don't think I want to do a commentary again.
We'd be up for another movie. But
Absolutely, it was fun.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And hopefully we will get a chance to do that again.
Stranger things have happened.
Yes,
but,
they have.
It's been a pleasure, as always, Tex, working together on this. And for those of you who stuck with us during this commentary, thank you. I hope you enjoyed it.
Thanks, everybody.